The next two plays, one on 19 verso, and it finishes in the fifth play on 20 recto. He says it's similar but not the same as the previous one, where you're starting with the sword held point down in the scabbard, and as the person comes to grab, you cut up against the dagger attack, and ideally you manage to smack them in the face with the scabbard as you draw the sword, and then you can stab them like it was a great big dagger. So as Jessica comes to grab me, I'm stepping back and I'm getting that in her face ideally, and then I'm stabbing her with the sword. So as Jessica comes to grab me, I swing that up, stab her in the face with the scabbard if there's space, and if there isn't, doesn't matter, because in goes the sword. And I'm still keeping some connection here between the scabbard and the elbow so that I can feel where her dagger is. And it gives me a little bit of control over her arm. The pass back is critical to get into a measure that works for you. And it's stated in the text as a tornare. If she's left-handed, I get the other hand and eventually end up on the dagger hand, and that's okay too. And yes, I'm being a little bit slow and careful because yes, this is sharp. Now, my feeling is that in these plays of the sword against the dagger, when you're holding the dagger and defending against the sword, you're differentiating between defending against a thrust and defending against a cut, because they are mechanically quite different and they're dealt with very differently. In these plays of the sword and the scabbard, you are internalizing the idea that if the sword is up, you strike down with it, and if the sword is down, you can strike down or you can strike up. And that is generally true. If I could just hand that to you. Low guards with the sword, you can strike down from there very easily. You can also strike up. From a high guard, you can strike up, but it's much, much more common to strike downwards. So built into this section is an implied lesson in distinguishing cuts and thrusts and high guards and low guards, which will stand you in good stead when you get to the longsword material, which is next. So plate 20 recto continues with the setup for the plays of the sword in one hand, which we have covered in a different video.